Thanks for joining us. We want to get right to breaking news in Beaverton, where police are investigating a homicide. Officers say they responded to a home on Southwest Steel Way just after 5 this evening. That's where they say they found a woman dead. Authorities have arrested a man and tell us they believe the two lived together and were in a relationship. Police did not elaborate. They did not reveal the victim or suspect's identity and couldn't say anything about a manner of death or potential motive here. Authorities say they do believe there is no danger to the public. We'll keep you updated as we learn more.
There's like 2 shots fired. The suspect is down with a knife in his hand.
Developing tonight, we're learning more about a fatal shooting by an Oregon State trooper outside a military facility in Salem. Authorities have now identified the man who was shot dead as 22-year-old Matthew Walter Wong of Salem. Wong was killed around 10 this morning outside the Army Aviation Support Facility on Turner Road at the Salem-Willamette Valley Airport. According to the Marion County DA's office, authorities say Wong showed up to the facility with a threatening note, the second time he'd been at that location in the past 3 days. A responding trooper found Wong outside of the guard station where some sort of confrontation occurred. It's not clear what, and then shots were fired. Crews tried to revive him, but Wong died at the scene. No officers were hurt. The trooper involved, identified as Justin Oxenrider, has been with state police for 18 years. Salem police are now leading this investigation. New tonight, we are getting a much closer look at a harrowing rescue in Skamania County after a trio of hikers became trapped atop Table Mountain and right in the middle of an atmospheric river. Alma McCarty has their story of survival.
Skamania County is famous for its waterfalls, its waterways, its beautiful scenery.
Scenery that attracts hikers from all over. But rescuers like Serge Newberry say this landscape can be unforgiving.
It's also some of the most treacherous terrain, and people underestimate it all the time. Being in the Columbia Gorge, the weather can change so quickly, and people don't realize that with the beauty, there's also a lot of danger.
3 young hikers experienced that firsthand as a trip up Table Mountain turned into a battle for survival. The group trapped in the midst of an extreme storm.
We have this atmospheric river, this meteorological event that's been happening where it creates an enormous weather system that comes through, just dumping a tremendous amount of rain and wind.
A call to 911 led more than 50 volunteers to assemble near the mountain, beginning a series of attempts to reach the hikers. But as Newberry explains, the combination of conditions and terrain made this a challenge.
We had deep snow, we had cliffs, we had avalanche risks. The hikers' GPS signal was really unreliable.
Crews finally made it up after a more than 3-hour climb to find the group showing signs of hypothermia. But the descent would prove just as tough.
They were in difficult, dire straits, these hikers. And so we called in for air assets to come in from the U.S. Coast Guard from Astoria.
But due to the weather, they couldn't find a spot for an aerial rescue. Neither could the U.S. Navy. Teams on the ground pushed onward. The mission, Newberry says, lasting more than a day.
They all lived. It was a miracle. There's nothing short of 3 miracles, a series of miracles, frankly, that happened.
None of it possible without the support of volunteers, the search and rescue teams across the area who dropped everything in order to help.
And to see those young hikers reunited with their family members and that they were still alive. That's why we do this, right? It's very emotional. It's a beautiful thing when the family says nobody else was able to go and you guys came.
In Skamania County, Alma McCarty, KGW News.
Just glad everyone's okay. And with this stretch of weather we're having, Matt, chances are even more folks are going to be headed out this weekend. I mean, I can't believe we made 70 today.
It is a rare feat, very rare. I'll show you how rare in just a minute. Right now in Portland, we're at 48 degrees. It's a beautiful night with a clear sky, right? And we'll be cleared for most of the day tomorrow. So today, as David mentioned, we hit 70. The old record was 67 back in 1968. It says forecast, but that's the actual temperature for today. But the forecast for tomorrow, we'll get up to about 69. Not a record, though, because the record is 71, which is the all-time hottest temperature that we've ever had in Portland in the month of February. And on Saturday, the record is 67. That one's safe, but we will still make the 60s, up to about 62. So let's dig into these 7-degree temperatures just a bit more. Some other factoids for you on that. This was just the 3rd February day in Portland's weather history where we've hit 70 degrees. Think about that. Those records go back to 1938. It's only the third time we've ever done this. What about 65? Let's lower the bar a bit. That's only happened 1% of the time. There's been about 20 days going back to 1938 in February where we've made 65. So that in and of itself is a rare feat. This is nearly unheard of. It's only the third time we've ever done it. And the average first day of the year that we hit 70 degrees is more than a month away. That's April 2nd. That's the average. Sometimes we have to wait a lot longer. So indeed, this was a rare feat for sure. Now, spring is on the way, real spring. The official start of spring, that's on the 20th of March. We'll see if we can get some more warm weather cooked up by then. David?
Still quite a ways away, though. Thanks, Matt. To get you caught up on tonight's other headlines now, the Multnomah County Sheriff says the person who died in last night's crash on Marine Drive in Fairview was a 17-year-old boy. Authorities say he was driving a pickup around 6 last night when it crossed the center line and crashed head-on into a FedEx truck. The pickup rolled over, trapping the teenager. His passenger, another 17-year-old boy, was taken to the hospital along with the driver of the FedEx vehicle. Investigators do not believe drugs or alcohol were a factor. The Clackamas County Sheriff is trying to identify this man who allegedly took photos of a woman in a store dressing room. Deputies say the incident was January 30th at a store near Southeast 82nd and Sunnyside. The victim said she was changing when she noticed a camera lens looking up at her from a hole in a bag on the floor. She confronted the man in the neighboring stall and took these photos as he was getting away. If you recognize him, call the Clackamas County Sheriff's Office. And Washington County authorities have arrested a man they say took over an $8 million commercial fishing vessel with the crew still on board. Washington rather than Washington County. Fish and Wildlife Police say someone boarded the boat in the Westport Marina, woke up the crew and said they needed to get moving. The crew members thought the suspect was an alternate captain and they followed orders and set sail. The vessel was almost out to sea when the skipper started talking about meeting the, quote, Chinese mothership. So the crew called the usual captain, who let him know that this was an imposter at the helm. Authorities say the suspect was carrying a large quantity of marijuana and about $4,000 in cash. Developing tonight, investigators in New Mexico are providing new details about what they are calling suspicious circumstances surrounding the death of Academy Award-winning actor Gene Hackman. Authorities say Hackman and his wife, Betsy Arakawa, and their dog were found dead Wednesday in separate rooms in their Santa Fe home. Now investigators have revealed it is likely the couple was dead for some time, and they are starting to rule some things out. Adam Cooperstein has more.
Tonight, chilling new details in the death of legendary actor Gene Hackman and his wife of 34 years, Betsy Arakawa.
You know, all I can say is they have been deceased for quite a while.
Their bodies found Wednesday afternoon after a groundskeeper called 911 after arriving at their Santa Fe, New Mexico home and seeing them through a window.
Are they moving at all?
No, dude, they're not moving. Just send somebody out here really quick.
Authorities are investigating the deaths as suspicious, but have already ruled out a carbon monoxide leak and say there were no obvious signs of foul play.
There was no indication of a struggle. There was no indication of anything that was missing from the home or disturbed.
When deputies arrived, they located the body of Hackman's 65-year-old wife in a bathroom located near the front door, which was open according to the warrant. Officers noted an orange bottle of prescription pills scattered on the countertop and a space heater near her head, which detectives say could indicate she fell abruptly to the ground. 95-year-old Hackman was found dead in a mudroom near the kitchen according to the warrant. It states his cane was next to him, indicating he may have fallen and was unable to get up. Deputies also found the couple's German Shepherd dead in her crate. The warrant says both Gene and Betsy's bodies showed signs of decomposition.
This is an investigation, so we're keeping everything on the table. You know, I think the autopsy is going to tell us a lot.
There's some here, I saw it.
Gene Hackman had come to define what a true actor is.
To be the best that you can be.
With the uncanny ability to vanish into any role, Hackman drew from within to put nuance into all the tough guy roles he portrayed.
All right, Popeye's here.
Is it gun just for show?
Hackman was 36, playing the simple-minded Buck Barrow in Bonnie and Clyde when Hollywood took notice.
Woo!
Soon after, his tough-as-nails good cop Popeye Doyle in The French Connection earned him his first Oscar. Hackman won his second Oscar for playing a bad sheriff in 1992's Unforgiven.
Misfire.
But he felt the tough guy roles never really pushed him.
We're cast so close to type in films that that you can only do so much within your own persona.
Towards the end of his career, Hackman found he preferred comedy for the challenge.
Comedy's harder because, you know, it isn't arbitrary. If they don't laugh, it doesn't work.
Moving to Santa Fe after retiring, Hackman continued to work as a novelist, publishing his 5th book in 2013, always letting his actions speak for him on the written page and the silver screen.
Hackman's family also released a brief statement today saying, quote, he was loved and admired by millions around the world for his brilliant acting career, but to us, he was always just dad and grandpa. We will miss him sorely and are devastated by the loss. Gene Hackman was 95 years old. In Woodburn, the school board rejected a resolution that would have reaffirmed support for migrant students. The move would have essentially aligned the district there with Oregon's sanctuary laws, where no public resources can be used to help with immigration enforcement. 3 of the 5 board members voted no, in part because they were worried it could make the district a target.
I think it sends a message that says we got your back.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it puts a target on the back. It says we got your back.
Well, no, I think it is a target because the state of Oregon is already a target.
I think a vote to approve such a resolution would have been very important symbolically as a declaration that we are in support of this community.
The superintendent told us the outcome does not impact the district's commitment to a safe environment for everyone. The board plans to hear the resolution again next month.